The circle, also known as the human array computer.
The story first appeared in English, translated by Ken Liu, in Carbide Tipped Pens in December 2014. The Chinese version was later collected in The Sea of Dreams, Liu Cixin Science Fiction Short Stories 2, published by Sichuan Science and Technology Press in July 2015.
Jing Ke unrolled the map on the long table. As the enemy rivers and mountains slowly appeared on silk, the king of Qin felt an immense ease. Mountains and rivers on a map seemed graspable, standing upon the real vast land. Even he felt powerless.
When the scroll reached its end, cold light flashed and a delicate dagger appeared. The air in Xianyang Palace seemed to freeze.
The civil and military ministers stood 3 jang away from the king, unarmed. The armed guards were farther still below the steps. The distance had been arranged for the king's safety. Now it made the sudden assassination impossible to stop.
The king remained calm. He glanced at the dagger, then fixed his dark, sharp eyes on Jing Ke. His meticulous mind had noticed that the hilt faced him, while the point faced the assassin.
Jing Ke picked up the dagger. A few short gasps sounded in the hall and were quickly suppressed. The king silently relaxed, for Jing Ke held the blade itself, and the hilt still faced him.
Please, Your Majesty, kill me. Crown Prince Dan ordered me to assassinate you, and a ruler's command cannot be disobeyed. But my reverence for you makes it impossible for me to strike.
The king did not move.
Your Majesty need only scratch me. The dagger was dipped in deadly poison when it was tempered. The slightest blood will seal my throat.
The king sat still and raised one hand, stopping the guards rushing up from below the steps.
A man like you, if you do not kill me this time, will never kill me later.
Jing Ke's right hand slid to the hilt, the point still toward himself, as if he meant to take his own life.
You are a learned man. Go serve me in the army. There will be time to die later.
The king spoke coldly and waved him away.
The assassin from Yen placed the dagger gently on the table and backed out of the hall.
The king then rose and walked to the palace door. The sky was clear for 10,000 li, and he saw a white moon in the blue, exquisite and translucent, like a dream left behind by night.
Jing Ke, can the moon appear in daytime?
On the long steps, Jing Ke in white looked like a flame made of snow. He bowed and answered,
Your Majesty, sun and moon shining together is common. From the 4th to the 12th day of each month, if the weather is good, the moon may be seen in daylight at different times.
Sun and moon shining together is common.
2 years later, the king summoned Jing Ke again. Outside Xianyang Palace, Jing Ke saw 3 officials being escorted out by soldiers.
Their head ornaments had been removed. 2 passed with pale faces and lowered heads. The 3rd had gone limp and had to be dragged down the steps, mumbling pleas for mercy and something about medicine. The king had probably ordered their execution.
When the king saw Jing Ke, his face was pleasant, as if nothing unpleasant had just occurred.
Xu Fu's fleet sailed out into the Eastern Sea and never returned. Someone must be responsible.
Xu Fu was an alchemist who claimed he could find the elixir of immortality on 3 sacred mountains in the Eastern Sea. He had been given a vast fleet with 3,000 boys and girls and great treasure as gifts for the immortals. 3 years had passed with no news.
The first emperor waved away the subject.
I hear you have done many things these 2 years. Your bow can shoot twice as far with the same strength. Your chariot uses miraculous springs and flies over rough ground. Your bridges use half the material and are stronger. I am pleased. How did you do it?
I follow heaven's will, and so many things can be done.
Shu Fu once said the same.
Your Majesty, forgive my frankness. Alchemists like Shu Fu cannot understand heaven's will through divination and meditation. They do not know the language of heaven.
And what is the language of heaven?
Mathematics, numbers, and shapes. That is the language in which heaven writes the world.
The king nodded thoughtfully.
Good. What are you working on now?
I have been doing all I can to understand more of heaven's will for your majesty.
Has there been progress?
Yes. I even feel I am standing before the gate to heaven's treasury of secrets.
How does heaven tell you these secrets? You said its language is numbers and shapes.
The circle.
Before the puzzled king, Jing Ke received permission to take a brush and draw a circle on silk. Without any tool, he drew it remarkably true.
Your Majesty, apart from man-made objects, have you ever seen a perfect circle in the world?
Rarely. I once stared into the eyes of an eagle. Its pupils were round.
Yes, Your Majesty. There are eggs of some aquatic creatures, and the lines where dew meets leaves, but I have measured them precisely. None are perfect circles. Even this one I drew only appears round. It has deformation and error invisible to the eye. It is really an ellipse.
I have searched for the true circle and found that it does not exist on earth, but it exists in heaven.
Oh. I dare ask your Majesty to step outside and look at the firmament.
The king and Jing Ke walked out. It was again a day when sun and moon shone together. Both appeared in the clear sky.
The sun and the full moon are perfect circles. Heaven has placed the rare, perfect circle above the world and placed two of them there as the most conspicuous things in the sky. The message is clear. Heaven's secrets lie inside the circle.
But the circle is the simplest shape. Apart from a straight line, nothing is simpler.
The king returned to the hall. Jing Ke followed.
Yet within that simplicity, your Majesty, lies a bottomless mystery. Back at the table, Jing Ke drew a rectangle.
Look at this rectangle. Its long side is 4 kun, its short side 2. Heaven has something to say in this figure as well.
What does it say?
Heaven says the ratio of the long side to the short side is 2.
Are you mocking me?
I would not dare. That is a simple sentence from heaven. Now look at this.
Jing Ke drew another rectangle.
This one's long side is 9 kun and the short side 7. Heaven's meaning here is richer.
It still seems extremely simple.
No, Your Majesty. The ratio is 1.285714285714. The sequence 285714 repeats forever. The value becomes infinitely precise, yet never absolutely exact. You see, it is simple, but its meaning is richer.
Interesting.
Now let us look at heaven's most miraculous shape, the circle.
Jing Ke drew a diameter through the circle.
The ratio between circumference and diameter is an infinitely long number. Its first digits are 3.1415926, and it extends forever without repeating.
Without repeating forever?
Yes. Imagine a sheet of silk as large as all under heaven. This number could be written in the smallest script from here to the horizon, then line after line until that world-size silk was filled, yet no segment of digits would repeat. Your Majesty, heaven's secrets are hidden in that infinite number.
The king remained still, but Jing Ke saw light in his eyes.
Even if you obtain this number, how will you read heaven's words from it? There are many methods. One is called coordinates. It can turn numbers into images.
What image would appear?
I do not know. It might be a great picture hinting at secrets, an article, even a book. The key is calculating pi to enough digits, perhaps tens of thousands, perhaps 100,000. I have calculated fewer than 100. That is far too little.
Only that much?
Your Majesty, those digits are 10 years of my labor. Pi is calculated by using inscribed or circumscribed polygons to approximate a circle. The more sides, the more precise the value, and the more digits. But the amount of calculation rises terribly. Human strength cannot bear it.
Could the secret of immortality be inside?
It must be, Your Majesty. Life and death are among heaven's most fundamental rules for the world. Their secret must lie there, and so must the secret of long life. Then calculate pi. In 2 years, reach 10,000 digits. Within 5 years, reach 100,000.
Your Majesty, that is truly impossible.
The king swept his sleeve across the table. The silk drawings, brush, and ink fell to the floor.
Ask for whatever manpower and materials you need, but it must be calculated on time.
100 days later, during his tour, the king summoned Jing Ke again and asked with concern about the progress of the calculation.
Your Majesty, I have gathered every mathematician in the Empire capable of such calculation. There are only 8. Even if all 9 of us spend our lives, we can advance pi by only about 3,000 digits. In 2 years, with all our strength, we can calculate only 300.
The king nodded and led Jing Ke on a walk. They came to a granite stele. It was more than 2 jang high with a hole at the top. A thick rawhide rope suspended it from a tall wooden frame like a giant weight in the air. The smooth bottom hung higher than a man's head, and no words were carved on it.
If you calculate pi on time, this will be the monument I raise for you. It will be placed on the ground and inscribed with your achievements. If you fail, it will be your pillar of shame. It will also be placed on the ground, but before the rope is cut, you will sit beneath it.
Jing Ke looked up at the suspended stone. It occupied half the sky, black against drifting white clouds, heavy with a sinister pressure.
My life belongs to Your Majesty. Even if I calculate pi on time, I cannot redeem my crime, so I do not fear death. Give me 5 more days. If I still cannot find a method, I will sit beneath the stone myself.
4 days later, Jing Ke requested an audience. The king agreed at once. Clearly, the pi project mattered most to him.
I can see from your face that you have found a way.
Your Majesty, you promised to satisfy my request for manpower. Does that promise remain effective?
Of course. I need an army of 3 million.
The number did not shock the king. He only lifted his brows slightly.
What sort of army of 3 million? The army the Empire already has. You know most soldiers are illiterate. In 2 years you cannot teach them such complex mathematics, much less complete the calculation.
Your Majesty, the skill they need can be taught to the dullest soldier in 1 double hour. Give me 3 soldiers, and I will demonstrate.
3? Only 3. I can give you 3,000 immediately.
Your Majesty, I need only 3.
The king summoned 3 young soldiers. Like all Qin soldiers, each moved like a machine obeying orders.
I do not know your names. You 2 will handle numerical input, so I will call you Input 1 and Input 2. You will handle output, so I will call you Output. Stand in a triangle. Output at the top, Input 1 and Input 2 at the base.
Why not simply call it a wedge attack formation?
The king looked at Jing Ke with contempt. Jing Ke produced 6 small flags, 3 white and 3 black, and gave each soldier 1 of each.
White represents 0. Black represents 1. Output, turn, and watch, Input 1 and Input 2. If they both raise black flags, you raise black. In all other cases, raise white. White, black, black-white, and white-white.
After repeating the instructions and confirming the soldiers remembered, Jing Ke gave the command.
Begin operation. Input 1, Input 2. Raise flags as you like. Raise. Again. Raise.
The inputs raised flags 3 times. Black, black, white, and black. Output responded correctly with 1 black and 2 whites.
Good. Operation correct. Your Majesty, your soldiers are clever.
Anyone could do that. Tell me what they are doing.
These 3 people form a component in a computing system called an AND gate. If both input numbers are 1, the output is 1. Otherwise, if either input is 0, as in 0, 1, 1, 0, or 0, 0, the output is 0.
Jing Ke paused to let the king understand.
Good. Continue.
Now we build the next gate. Output, if either input 1 or input 2 raises black, you raise black. That includes black, white, and black. Only when both are white do you raise white. Do you understand? Good child. You are clever. Correct operation depends on you. Work well and you will be rewarded.
Begin. Raise. Again. Again. Excellent. Operation normal, Your Majesty. This component is called an OR gate. If either input is 1, the output is 1.
Next, Jing Ke used 3 soldiers to build NAND, NOR, XOR, XNOR, and tri-state gates. At last he used only 2 soldiers to build the simplest NOT gate, in which output always raised the opposite color from input.
Now, Your Majesty, all gate components have been demonstrated. These are all the 3 million soldiers need to learn.
How can these children's tricks perform such complex calculation? Great King, the complex universe is composed of the simplest elements. Likewise, a vast number of simple elements assembled in the proper structure can produce extremely complex functions.
3 million soldiers will form 1 million gate components like these. The components will form a complete military array capable of high-speed complex computation. I call it the computing array.
I still do not understand how calculation will proceed.
That is complex. If Your Majesty is interested, I will explain later. For now, only this. The array's calculation rests on a new counting system with only 2 symbols, 0 and 1, white flag and black flag. Yet 0 and 1 can express any number, allowing vast numbers of simple components to perform high-speed integrated computation.
3 million. Almost the full strength of Qin. But I grant it. Go quickly. I feel old.
A year passed. On another clear day when sun and moon shone together, the king and Jing Ke stood on a high stone platform with ministers and generals behind them.
Below, 3 million Qin soldiers formed a magnificent square 10 li to a side. In the rising sun, the formation was motionless, like a giant carpet woven from 3 million terracotta warriors. Birds straying above it seemed to feel the murderous weight below and scattered in panic.
Your Majesty, your army is unmatched under heaven. In so short a time, it has completed such complex training.
The whole is complex, but each soldier's task is simple. Compared with military training, it is nothing.
Then please issue your great command.
The king nodded. A guard ran forward, gripped the king's sword hilt, stepped back, drew the bronze sword that the king himself could not draw, then knelt and presented it. The king raised the long sword to the sky and shouted,
Form the computing array.
War drums thundered. 4 bronze cauldrons at the corners of the platform burst into flame. The soldiers below relayed the command in a vast chorus.
Form the computing array.
Across the earth, the uniform color of the square began to stir. Intricate circuit structures emerged and gradually filled the whole formation.
10 minutes later, a 100 square Lie computing array lay on the ground.
Your Majesty, I named this array Qin 1. There in the center is the central processing array, the core calculation unit formed by your elite core. On this chart, you can see the adder arrays, register arrays, stack storage arrays, and more.
The orderly outer region is memory. While building it, we found the number of soldiers insufficient. Fortunately, each cell there performs very simple actions, so each soldier was trained to use flags of many colors. In combination, one man can perform the work of the original 20, giving the memory array the minimum capacity needed to run the Pi program.
Look also at the channel passing through the array, and the light cavalry waiting on it. That is the system bus array, responsible for carrying information among the subarrays.
2 soldiers brought forward a silk scroll taller than a man and unrolled it before the king. When it reached its end, more than one onlooker recalled a familiar scene and felt his scalp tighten. But no dagger appeared, only silk covered with symbols. The symbols were tiny and dense, as complex and dizzying as the array below.
Your Majesty, this is the Pi calculation program I wrote. The array is hardware, while the writing on this silk is software, the soul of the computing array. Hardware and software are like Qin and score. The array runs this software to calculate Pi.
Then, begin.
By royal decree, computing array start. System self-check.
At the center of the platform, a row of flagmen sent the instruction. For a moment, the giant array of 3 million people seemed to liquefy, glittering with ripples as millions of little flags moved.
Self-check complete. Boot program running. Operating system loading.
Like cavalry on the human array computer's bus began moving fast. Then the bus became a rushing river. Along its way, it split into countless streams that entered the module arrays.
Ripples of black and white flags became surging waves across the entire array. The central processing region roiled most violently, like burning gunpowder.
Then, as if the powder burned out, the central region quieted and became still. The stillness spread outward like a lake freezing at impossible speed. In the end, most of the array stood motionless, with only a few dead loops blinking lifelessly.
System locked.
The cause was soon found. One gate component in the state storage subarray of the central processor had operated incorrectly.
Restart the system.
Wait. Replace the failed component. All soldiers making up that component are to be beheaded. Handle future faults the same way.
A squad of cavalry with drawn swords entered the central array, killed 3 soldiers, and replaced them. From the platform, 3 pools of blood appeared in the central processing array.
Jing Ke issued the startup command again. This time it went smoothly, and 10 minutes later, the Pi program entered running state. The shimmering computing array began its long calculation.
Fascinating. Such simple acts by each person produce such complex intelligence.
Great King of Qin, this is mechanical operation, not intelligence. These common lowly people are all zeros. Only when a one like your Majesty is placed before them does the whole acquire meaning.
How long to reach 10,000 digits of pi?
About 10 months, perhaps faster.
Your Majesty, please reconsider. Even in ordinary military operations, gathering most of the Empire's forces in one open place for so long is extremely dangerous.
The 3 million soldiers carry no weapons, only small flags, and the computing array is not a battle formation. It is fragile before attack. Even in peacetime, dispersing such a vast array takes half a day. If attacked, withdrawal will be impossible. Your Majesty, The array below is meat on a chopping block.
The king did not answer. He looked at Jing Ke.
General Wang is correct. Whether to continue the calculation, Your Majesty should consider carefully.
Then Jing Ke committed an unprecedented breach of courtesy. He raised his eyes and met the king's for 1 second. The king instantly understood the meaning in that gaze. All Your Majesty's achievements are zeros, and only immortality can place a 1 before them. The general worries too much. Han, Wei, Zhao, and Chu are destroyed. Yan and Qi remain, but their rulers are muddled and their strength weak. They are dying and need not be feared.
At their present rate of decline, by the time pi is calculated, they may already have collapsed and submitted to Qin. Still, I appreciate the general's caution. Establish a distant warning line around the array and watch the armies of Yan and Qi closely. That will ensure safety.
The calculation must be completed. My will is set.
The array ran smoothly for a month. Results exceeded expectations. Pi had already advanced past 2,000 digits. As the operators gained skill and Jing Ke further optimized the program, speed would increase. At this rate, 100,000 digits might be completed in about 3 years.
On the 45th morning after calculation began, dense fog covered the array. It could not be seen from the platform, and within it visibility extended no farther than 5 men. But fog did not halt calculation. Commands and bus cavalry hooves echoed through it.
At the northern edge, soldiers heard another sound. At first, it was faint, almost imagined. Then, it grew like rolling thunder in the fog.
It was the merged beat of hooves. A vast cavalry formation was approaching from the north, the banner of Yan raised before it. The cavalry did not hurry. They kept strict formation, knowing there was plenty of time.
Only when they were 1 li from the northern edge did the Yan army charge. Its vanguard entered the computing array, and Qin soldiers died before they even saw the enemy appear from the fog. In the first impact alone, more than 10,000 Qin soldiers were trampled to death.
What followed was not battle, but massacre. The Yan commander had known there would be no organized resistance. To improve killing efficiency, the cavalry abandoned long polearms and carried long sabers and spiked clubs.
Hundreds of thousands of Yan horsemen became a great carpet of death, leaving Qin corpses strewn wherever they passed. To avoid alerting the array's depths too early, Yan cavalry killed in silence like machines. But screams from trampled and slaughtered Qin soldiers still spread through the fog.
The soldiers in the array had been trained to ignore outside interference and focus on computation. With fog hiding events, most of the array did not notice the massive attack in the north. As the death carpet advanced through blood and bodies, calculation elsewhere continued, though more and more program errors appeared.
Behind the cavalry, more than 100,000 Yan crossbowmen fired heavy bolts deep into the array. In a short time, 1,000,000 arrows fell like rain, almost everyone finding a target.
Only then did chaos begin inside the array. News of the attack spread, mostly through the bus cavalry, worsening the collapse. As the bus jammed, cavalry horses trampled through crowds,
and countless Qin soldiers died beneath their own horses.
On the south, east, and west sides, where the array was not yet attacked, Qin soldiers began to flee in disorder. But the collapsing array was like a drop of ink, too thick to dissolve, crowded within and only faintly diffusing at its edges.
Large numbers fleeing east soon met the prepared army of Qi. Qi did not charge. Its infantry and cavalry formed a hard line and waited for the Qin fugitives to pour into the ambush.
With the eastern road blocked, Qin soldiers fled southwest. 1,000,000 broken men spread across the plain like dirty runoff and soon met a third army. Unlike Yan and Qi, this force was all fierce cavalry, rolling from the west like a flood, the Xiongnu.
By noon, a strong west wind scattered the fog, exposing the vast battlefield in sunlight. Yan, Qi, and Xiongnu forces had joined in many places and formed an encirclement.
Their cavalry struck deeper, while following infantry cleaned up. Fire oxen formations and catapults joined the attack, greatly increasing the efficiency of slaughter.
At dusk, desolate horns echoed over the battlefield. Corpses lay everywhere, and blood ran like rivers. The remnants of Qin were split and surrounded in 3 pockets.
Then came a night of full moon. The perfect circle of the moon looked coldly down upon the massacre and poured watery light over mountains of bodies and seas of blood. The battle lasted all night and ended the next morning. Qin's main force had been annihilated.
1 month later, the allied armies of Yan and Qi captured Xianyang. The king of Qin was taken, and Qin fell. On the day of the king's execution, sun and moon again shone together. In the blue sky, the moon was a piece of translucent snow.
The great stone made for Jing Ke still hung in the air. The king sat beneath it now, waiting for the Yan executioner to cut the rawhide rope. Jing Ke stepped from the crowd, still dressed in white. He greeted the king and still called him Your Majesty.
You were a Yan assassin all along.
Yes, but I had to destroy not only you, but also your army. Even if I had assassinated you a year ago, Qin would still have been strong, with clever advisors and millions of troops led by great generals. Yan still could not have survived.
How did you gather so many armies so quickly?
During the year that the computing array was trained and operated, Yan and Qi dug 3 tunnels, each 100 li long and wide enough for galloping horses. I designed them. The allied armies appeared near the array through those tunnels.
The king nodded, said nothing more, and closed his eyes to await death. The supervising officer gave the preparation order, and an executioner carrying a blade climbed the tall frame. Then the king heard movement beside him. He opened his eyes and saw Jing Ke sitting down next to him.
Your Majesty, we will die together. When this stone falls, it will become our common pillar of shame. Our flesh and blood will mix. Perhaps that will comfort you.
Why do this?
Your Majesty, I do not wish to die. The king of Yan wants me killed.
A faint smile crossed the king's face like a breeze.
Your merit overshadows your lord. That end is not surprising.
That is one reason. The main reason is that I advised the king of Yan to build a Yan computing array, giving him a pretext to kill me.
The king turned to look at Jing Ke. This time the surprise in his eyes was genuine.
Whether you believe me or not, I did it for Yan's strength. The computing array was indeed a scheme to destroy Qin, but in itself it is a great invention. Through mathematical calculation, it can read heaven's language and understand the deepest secrets of all things. It will open a new age.
The executioner had reached the top of the frame and stood before the rawhide rope, blade ready. Beneath a distant canopy, the king of Yen waved. The officer shouted the command.
Execute!
Jing Ke's eyes suddenly widened, as if he had awakened from a dream.
I remember now. The computing array need not use armies. It need not use people. And gates, not gates, NAND gates, OR gates, all those parts can be replaced by machines. Those machine parts can be made very small, and when integrated, they become a machine computing array. No, it should not be called a computing array. It should be called a computer. My king, wait. Computer. Computer.
Jing Ke stood and shouted toward the distant king of Yan. The executioner cut the rawhide rope.
Computer.
Jing Ke screamed the final word until his voice tore. The great stone fell. In the enormous shadow, descending from the sky, the king of Qin felt life end. In Jing Ke's eyes, a ray of dawn from a new age went out. The